Ma'am, it is 3:01 and we have around 400 audience. Can we start the program?
Right. So there must be many people who have joined YouTube.
Yep.
Shall we start? VC sir, shall we start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can.
Venkatesh sir?
Yeah, we can. I'm ready.
I'm on to you.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Niksha Shukran from College of Management. Welcome you all for the 6th edition of the Parivendhar Foundation Lecture Series. Today's lecture is on analysis of union budget by Dr. M.R. Venkatesh. He's an auditor, advocate, and author. Let's start the program with Tamil Taiwantu. Request Mr. Vijay to play it and request all to please raise for the same.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிதில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம்பியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
As Abraham Lincoln once said, the best way to predict future is to create it. Our Honorable Founder Chancellor, Dr. T.R. Parivendhar, is a living example of this particular statement. His vision to take the knowledge to everyone beyond the classrooms. This is one of the programs that literally pursues this particular vision of his. Furthermore, we have a short AV of our SRM-IST. I request Vijay to play the AV for the benefit of all the outsiders and our people to look at. Mr. Vijay. Today, we have amongst us, Spirit, Honorable Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor Administration, Pro-Chancellor Academics, our Chief Guest, Dr. M.R. Venkatesh, our beloved Vice Chancellor, Professor C. Muthamrichelvan, our Registrar, Dr. Pannusamy, Dr. B. Raghavan, Advisor to our Honorable Chancellor, Director, Career Center, Dean, Dr. Subsidy Natarajan, College of Management, Dr. Shenbagaraman, Head Executive Programs, and our co-conveners for this particular program, Dr. Andu, Dr. Vijay Karthikeyan, and convener of this program, Dr. Bhaskar, and all the HODs, students, and faculty members of the program. I humbly and very delightfully invite our beloved Vice Chancellor, Dr. C. Muthamrichelvan sir, to deliver the welcome address.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Good evening to all of you. I extend a hearty welcome to our chief guest, Dr. M.R. Venkatesh, a leading advocate in Supreme Court and also an author and auditor, a multifaceted personality. I welcome our Professor Raghavan, who is advisor to our Chancellor and also a member Board of Management of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Dean College of Management, other deans and directors, faculty members, research scholars, and students to the 6th edition of Dr. Parivendhar Foundation Lecture Series. Dr. Parivendhar Lecture Series was initiated with an intention to benefit the students, teaching fraternity, policymakers, as well as implementers, social change makers and adopters on the topics that instills positive thoughts, initiate a healthy transformation, and benefit the society at large and for a longer span of life. As our founder chancellor's dream of creating a fountainhead of knowledge-based educational arena, like our ancient proverbial Nalanda, and consistent with this vision statement, all the programs, activities, initiatives of the SRM conglomerate fall in line, and Dr. Parivendhar Foundation Lecture Series is one of them. This lecture series provides enough food for thought, changes to recreate and transform India, to offer and to open up new varied venues for the benefit to our student community and teaching fraternity. This foundation series of talks has hosted many eminent thought leaders and acclaimed industrialists who have inspired the audience by their depth of their thoughts, propelled innovations, set the future goals, and have enhanced the quality of education. They say a budget tells our money where to go instead of making us wonder where it went. And today we have with us an eminent personality who would address all of us on the analysis of Union Budget 2022. The Budget 2022 focused on digital and technology and sectors like infrastructure, health, education, and provision of e-services to the masses. I draw your attention to the following attributes which are in a way linked to education. Skill development. Skilling programs and partnership with the industry will be reoriented to promote continuous skilling avenues, sustainability and employability. This will focus on ecosystem for, or you call it as a digital ecosystem for skilling and livelihood, with an aim to skill, reskill or upskill through online learning. So it's obvious that online learning is going to be very, very important in the years to come. Also, the use of drones, it's called as Drone Shakti, through varied applications, and that is going to be called as drone as a service. In cloud computing, we have seen infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Now we are going to see drone as a service. Digital University will be established to provide access across the country for world-class quality universal education with personalized learning experience at their doorsteps. All along we have been talking about personalized healthcare. Now it is personalized learning. So the challenge for us is that we should adopt digital tools of teaching. Though we have been trying our best to use all those technologies during this pandemic period, but there is a long way to go. High quality e-content in all spoken languages will be developed for delivery via internet, mobile phones, TV, and radio through digital teachers. So sometime back, we were telling that we are all facilitators. Now we are going to be called as digital teachers henceforth. Revamping of agriculture program syllabus to accommodate the need of natural, zero budget, and organic farming and modern day agriculture. Importance will be given to 5G technology, which will enable growth and offer job opportunities. So our way of delivering things will certainly depend upon the bandwidth. And once you move on to 5G technology, we can leverage lot advantages. Upcoming areas of importance which will assist sustainable development scales and modernize the country even more are artificial intelligence, geospatial systems and drones, semiconductor and its ecosystem, space economy, genomics and pharmaceuticals, green energy, and clean mobility systems. Now we need to focus on these areas in terms of teaching and also the research. In order to give big boost to digital economy, digital currency will be introduced for efficient and cheaper currency management system. Such schemes and policies in place are definitely going to be a game changer. And I am sure you all are eager to hear from our chief guest, Dr. M.R. Venkatesh, about the budget 2022. So with these words, I once again welcome you all. Thank you so much.
I call upon Dr. M.G. Bhaskar, convener and professor, SRM IST, to introduce the chief guest to the audience.
Good afternoon to all. Revered Vice Chancellor here, and our board member, Dr. B. Raghavan, who is also here, and our multifaceted chief guest, who is here. Dr. M.R. Venkatesh is an advocate based in New Delhi, practicing criminal laws, economic offenses, and serious financial frauds. He is an acknowledged expert in the field of anti-money laundering laws, anti-black money laws, direct taxes, and related regulations. He is a designated partner in Agastya Legal LLP and heads advisory and litigation related to the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Prevention of Corruption Act, Income Tax Act, Black Money, Foreign Income and Assets, and Imposition of Tax Act, SEBI Act, FEMA, and the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. MRV, as he is popularly known, became a chartered accountant in 1992 with an All India ranking. In 2018, he was awarded a doctorate for his thesis on evaluating the impact of minimum support price and input subsidies on the farm sector in the 4 southern states of India by Shastra University, Tamil Nadu. He is also visiting faculty in various professional institutions, chambers of commerce, and universities across India. He has written many books, including a handbook on anti-dumping, which was released by the former Prime Minister of India, Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, in 2001, a monograph on capital account convertibility, which was published in July 2006, as well as one on inflation, which was published in 2007, a book titled Global Imbalances and the Impending Dollar Crisis in September 2007, a book titled Sense, Sensex and Sentiment in 2011, and another titled Dr. Manmohan Singh, A Decade of Decay in 2013. He is also a regular panelist for primetime shows on national television and a well-recognized columnist in leading media publications in India. With this, a small introduction, I invite, on behalf of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, we all invite the chief guest of today, Dr. M.R. Venkatesh.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'm particularly grateful to the Vice Chancellor, Mr. Bhaskar, Mr. Raghavan, Dr. Musa, Mr. Raghavan, all of whom very meticulously, without intruding, ensured that I was constantly reminded, without actually reminding me, that I should be here at 3 p.m. Luckily for me, I was also hoping that is all my court work gets finished today before 3 p.m. I was slightly skeptical, being the first day of the week. Luckily, everything went on well. So here I am on time, and it is the upside of the Corona crisis that we can all be at different places yet be on time. So this is the most probably the biggest blessings as I see at the upside on the Corona pandemic. Because otherwise we would all fly down, come there, spend almost 24 hours traveling back and forth to all these places. These were all there. Zoom was there, Skype was there, all these programs and softwares were available. But pandemic has compelled us to use this in good measure. And I'm particularly so enamored about it, because sitting in this, you can attend Bombay High Court, Madras High Court, then to go to Supreme Court, without doing much in the same seat, in the same place, except probably sometimes we lift the shade because we will get more light, that's all. Rest, it is also very used and accommodated, used to sitting in this chair and doing multiple tasking. Now this budget has always fascinated me since 1985 when I was in my +2. And I must say with all humility that the first person who initiated me to the excitement of national budget was late Palkiwala. When he used to come to Chennai after say 5-10 days of the budget and deliver lectures, and I was a regular attendee till say 92 or 93 till he delivered those lectures, after which he had become a bit too old to travel and he was not in a proper physical state. I had the good fortune of being tutored on this budget by understanding the budget by quite a few economists, and but for whose their own benevolence and their own guidance, deciphering a national budget of 40 lakh crores all in a matter of a couple of hours would be impossible. It is a tribute to them that I whatever I am because of my teachers. Now come to the budget proper. Many of us know that the post-war recovery of America was, or the post-recession recovery of America was heralded by a president called Franklin Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt had just 3 mantras for recovery of America after the post-recession in the early 30s, and he was the president in 45. So around those troubled times, he was the person who heralded the American economy, and he had simply 3 mantras: relief to the poor, recovery of the financial reforms of the financial sector, recovery of the economy through infrastructure. The 3 R's, which was non-negotiable for him: relief, recovery, and reforms. Now, if you cut to 2015 and start looking at what Prime Minister Modi is doing, virtually he is focusing on reliefs to the poor. There is no let down or let up on any welfare measures. In fact, the welfare measures have been implemented. The second one is significant reforms of the financial sector. And 3 is a very clear focus on infrastructure. Now the lingo of the budgets changed in the last 5 years. Focus has changed, some here, some there. But the underlying spirit of the budget, underlying philosophy, economic philosophy of this government is relief, recovery, and reforms. And by recovery, they have more or less concentrated only on the infrastructure part. I will come to the other flop side of it a bit later, but let me give you the broad architecture of the mindset of the Prime Minister, and also of those who have gone about to make this budget. In fact, if you look at it, every time I see Prime Minister Modi in action, I see Franklin Roosevelt in action. Whenever I see Man Ki Baat, which he addresses every citizen on the last Sunday of a month, I'm reminded of Franklin Roosevelt's fireside chats that he makes up every other occasion. So that is how I see an uncanny resemblance between FDR, which is Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Narendra Modi. Now, this budget, as the Vice Chancellor alluded to, there has been a spectacular thrust on digitization of India. On technology, on digitization, I think the Prime Minister or this government does not want to leave any stone unturned in terms of encouraging use of technology, adoption, and massification. The technology is no longer an elitist subject. Technology is now becoming a massified product. So drones, for example, drones who would have thought 3-4 years back, it was supposed to be something that was to be used probably in the rarefied field of some investigating officers or police when they want to go and find out the location of some terrorists. But today, this government wants to say every single field, they want to have drones. And drone Shakti is something that they have thought about it. Luckily or unluckily, they have not thought about a Hindi word for drone or a Sanskrit word for drone. But otherwise, they have gone about and said that this is something that they are going to bring it in full measure. The second thing that they have talked about, which I will deal with, is massive outlay on infrastructure. 7.5 lakh crores, of which 1 lakh crore will be, I'm told, is an allocation to the state governments interest-free for infrastructure. Of course, there will be certain conditions attached to it, but a massive expenditure on capital, which means more roads, more ports, more railway coaches, railway tracks. They are also not only talking about infrastructure, there will be a seamless integration of infrastructure, meaning if you get down in Madras airport, you are walking almost a kilometer to take the metro station. They want these things to be integrated, and the last mile connectivity between two infrastructures is what they want to improve significantly. And this is something welcome, because if you go to any advanced country, you get down from the airport, actually go down a few hundred meters and you, by lift, and you get into a metro train or something like that. But in our country, this metro train comes under a different ministry, civil aviation comes under a different ministry, shipping comes under a different ministry, buses are run by local government. So there is several mismatches, and they are talking about now of integrating all these modes of transport infrastructure seamlessly. Suppose you get a way bill. I'll give you a classical example. This is something very interesting. Suppose Maruti, which manufactures cars in Gurgaon, Haryana, wants to send it to, say, JNP, some port in Gujarat by train, and then offload it to ship. And from ship, it circumnavigates the whole of southern India and comes to, say, Chennai. And from Chennai, they want to take it by road to, say, Bangalore. Now, the whole Maruti process of taking it across up to Bangalore involves 3 modes of transport. But 3 modes of transport, unless they are seamlessly and efficiently integrated, you will always find there will always be a problem. This is where I think they are first time focusing on something seamless integration and logistics. They are not only talking about infrastructure. Logistic cost in India is estimated to anywhere between 10 to 12% of our GDP, which is very high for a developing country. Actually, our efficiency is going down because of logistics, and logistics is where they want to focus. Then they are transforming the post offices into a bank. I am really surprised that this has not caught attention of many of these people. Postman, say 25 years back, till 20 years back also, till the WhatsApp and your email came in big measure, was your connectivity to several villages. The way the postman used to bring post, he used to read it out for the illiterate, money orders were being transferred, he used to collect, he was like a guardian for the village. Several seniors will allude to what I'm trying to explain. It is very difficult for modern youngsters to even understand the concept of a postman. The postman will bring post and sit down in a house, discuss their good and bad things, and then he was to go back to the next house, give the letter, give the money, collect, even write letters for some of them. So this very precious last mile connectivity in the last 20 years has been more or less destroyed. What the government wants to do is to actually increase the goodwill or the factor that is available with the postman. And
I think we have a small technical snack from our chief guest. Let's hold on for some time. He'll be rejoining us as soon as possible.
He rejoins. I thought I'd do a quick recap for the benefit of the students. The way he started the talk was extremely good. He was talking about the spirit and philosophy of the budget. The moment he joins in, please let me know. As he was talking about the spirit and philosophy of the budget, he said, Modi government is focusing on the relief to the poor, reforms in the financial sector, recovery of economy through major developments in infrastructure. And then he was talking about the technology which has massified, and it is a bare necessity product, which is very true, starting from your banking technology on to everything that you need. We are tech driven right now. And next, he was talking about the infrastructure and the seamless connectivity, which I'm sure the largest management students would appreciate. We have our chief.
I think he has joined you. Yes.
Thank you, sir. I was just doing a quick recap on what we were doing, what you were talking about.
I'm sorry. Usually the power never goes here, but today the power suddenly went off for a few seconds.
That's okay. Please take over, sir.
Okay. Now they are trying to bring across the entire goodwill or the capital that the Indian Post and Services have, being the last mile connectivity, and people don't understand that post offices is the biggest saving instrument apart from insurance in this country. The balance sheet size of LIC is much bigger than the largest commercial bank in India, namely the State Bank of India. So post offices as a bank, as some sort of a saving vehicle, is something that we need to appreciate. And this is another big positive that we are seeing in this budget. Then I think something spectacular is also happening, though I was in a session in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, along with the finance secretary, and the finance secretary did point out that interlinking of rivers has been thought about, and they are of the Ken Betwa link project benefiting 9.1 lakh hectare farm, providing drinking water to 62 lakh people and generating 130 megawatt of power. Is almost on, and 5 more projects are under implementation. So instead of doing a massive interlinking of all the rivers, slowly they are linking one river to the next. And I think Palar with Kaveri was what was announced, if my memory serves me right, in this regard in Tamil Nadu. So this is a big boost. I think probably the environmentalists will have their own apprehensions, and rightfully so. In any democratic setup, environment has a very important role. But we have to also understand economics is all about balancing various factors, contradictory factors, and that is what we are supposed to do. And my guess is that universities like yours must probably get ahead of the curve and do some analysis studies about what would it happen if, say, Palar is linked to, say, Kaveri, and what would be the cost and consequences, and probably invite a series of discussion, because we are a water-parched state. And being a riparian state with always at the receiving end, more in political terms than in water terms, we have always been at the receiving end of the idiosyncrasies of our neighboring states. I think that it is a very, very good augury that we must start thinking about interlinking of various rivers, of which one step has been taken. And if we are taking this to a logical conclusion, I see an enormous benefit that will flow out of this budget. National digital health ecosystem will be rolled out. I think this is a very big boon for many of us who are suffering from depression post COVID. There are enormous number of people who are suffering from a tremendous amount of stress, anxiety, and this will be a very good step. On universalization of quality education, they are talking about one class, one TV channel program to be expanded to 200 TV channels. This is going to be a massive rollout. I don't know how long it will take. These are things that I don't see. I'll get to the flop side, as I said, the other side. But on vision, you cannot beat this budget. It has got everything. And likewise, it has talked about skill development. It has talked about ease of doing business. It has talked about ease of living. It has talked about bringing water to around 3.8 crore households to be covered in 22-23, and an allocation of 60,000 crores has been made for this. Last year it was just 10,000 crore. This year they are making 60,000 crore allocation in Jal, for making Jal available to various ghar, meaning houses. And then there are allocations on defense, which is again a very exciting prospect. I think I should dwell on this for some time because that may interest your university. We have a budget of around 5 lakh crores on defense, of which 1.6 lakh crores will be on capital, of which 68% procurement will be done by domestic manufacturing, from domestic manufacturers. This is something very significant. And if you understand the consequences of this, India is emerging as an arms exporter. And we have exported 400 BrahMos missile to, I think, Philippines or some other country, neighboring East Asian country, very recently. And this will require enormous coordinated action between research and development by manufacturing agencies and science universities and research universities. And it will be, there will be tremendous amount of grants, there will be tremendous amount of opportunities that will flow. India has been always an aspirant to get into this market, but has never got into it. But now that we are becoming one of the biggest exporters of our manufacturers of arms, and our own army is buying this, the next step would be internationally buyers will queue up. When buyers queue up, it will be a race on science and technology, to what extent, what is theoretical physics being applied at a practical level. And that is what will, again, I have great hopes on youngsters. I have got great hopes on our own research and development capabilities. And this is what is an opportunity that is playing out in front of us. Then there has been issues on various other aspects, including talking about digitalization of the customs, rationalization, and other things, which I think I have nothing to crib. I am gung-ho. I am gung-ho about Part A of the budget. The budget has two parts, as everybody would know. Part A is where the finance minister rolls out her vision, her expenditure. On that, you can't find a problem. I have no quibble on that. But when it comes to Part B, suddenly I find that the finance minister, after talking about drone technology, about digitization, about 200 channels for education, about computerization of the entire customs, GST being computerized, everything is automated. We are talking about a futuristic technology of 2060 or 2070. Right now in 2022, we are talking about collapsing the next 50 years into next 5 years. We are talking about infrastructure, seamless logistic movement. We are talking about so many things. It is like watching one interstellar movie in Satyam Theatre, when the man next to you suddenly spits tobacco and parang. So suddenly part B was a very big letdown. And that is why you find there is a dissonance between various voices in the budget. On first hand, people are gung-ho about it. On the vision, nobody can find fault with it. But when it comes to actually taking the, putting money in the hands of the people, putting money into various businesses, giving them reliefs which are being hit very badly by the COVID and GST rollout, the finance minister said, thank you very much. I appreciate you. She congratulated the taxpayers. Then she quoted from Shanti Parva of the budget, where Bhishmacharya is laying down in a bed of arrows and giving the laws of administration to Yudhishthira after the war. Little did she realize Indian taxpayers are also like Bhishmacharya lying in a bed of arrows. The example could not have been more perfect, that we are like Bhishmacharya lying in a bed of arrows. So she said everything. Now, I will come to a very important issue that has been missed in all this digitization gung-ho. I can understand probably Dr. Shanmugaraman or myself can be adapt or easily adapt to the digitization program. But a large swaths of India are still in agrarian economy. We are an economy which is in 21st century. Some of us are even in 22nd century. A good portion is in 20th century and good portion in the 19th century. Sometimes when you go back to some of the villages, it really gives you a feeling that we are 30, 40 years behind. We are traveled back in time. That is the expanse of India. India is not a unitary character. There are several shades of India. Now, one of the biggest thing or test that every economy does to ensure that the progress equitous, the progress is widespread, there is education, there is skill development, all that which flows uniformly, is what is the share of manufacturing in your GDP. Manufacturing sector will be the key. It is like when you go to your doctor, you say you have so much of problems. He said, listen, I will just take your BP and pulse and then come to all the other diagnostics. That will show the doctor to what extent you are, no, prima facie, it doesn't show everything, but prima facie it will show that you are under some stress or not. Now take our own manufacturing. In 2012, Dr. Manmohan Singh, the Prime Minister, then made a very big promise. He said the manufacturing share to the GDP is around 15%. And we have to increase it to 25% by 22, 10 years from then. 10 years has elapsed. 7.5 years has been taken over by Mr. Modi and 2.5 years was taken over by Mr. Manmohan Singh. And after this elongated period of time, the manufacturing share of the GDP is a stubborn 15%. For 10 years, the share of manufacturing has not gone up. Now, the net result, I can take you through so many results out of this, but I'll just give you one number. Last year, that is 21, we had a trade of around 125 billion with China. We exported 25 billion. China exported 100 billion, meaning our trade deficit with China was something in the region of $70–75 billion. Now, if China doesn't give us high-tech goods, China is not giving you anything high-tech which you cannot manufacture in India. Supposing China is giving you some high-tech computers which you cannot manufacture, no, we have aced them. We know how to even create supercomputers. We have supercomputers. Are they giving you any technology of space, rocket? Nothing. We can send rockets to the moon, to the Mars. We have mastered that. What is China giving you? China giving you holy powder for Holi. China is giving you Vinayaka Chaturthi, Vinayakan. China is giving you laptops, pens. Most of our watches, digital watches that we are buying, either it is Huawei or Mi or cell phones, which all can be manufactured in India, is manufactured in China. Including if you take my Apple phone, you see that this is manufactured in China only. It is though it is an Apple phone, it is invariably manufactured in China. So there is a huge problem that we are facing today. That we are facing a problem that China is creating so much of goods and putting into our economy, and our own MSMEs, which are eminently capable, our own people who are eminently capable of doing all these things are unable to actually produce this in India, because China is able to manufacture it much better in China, pay the custom duty and enter India, whereas our own people in India are not able to manufacture in India. Now, if I tell somebody here, especially youngsters who are watching, that India has lost a cricket match with Bangladesh, many of you will say, what sir, what a big tragedy, what a national tragedy it is. But the share of textiles, global trade, share of global trade in textiles by Bangladesh is around 12-13%, India is 4%. We cannot beat Bangladesh in textiles for the next 10-20 years. That is the state to which we are pushed. And textile is a very big manufacturing sector, employment sector. We are getting beaten in India. Now, if you go to any shop in Gurgaon or in Noida and see the big malls, you go and inside, you don't find shirts made in Tirupur. You find shirts and t-shirts and other things made in Bangladesh. It is now Bangladesh, Indonesia, Philippines, all these things are now getting into India and defeating us. It is not only losing to Bangladesh in Bangladesh, it is losing to Bangladesh in Chepak. That is the extent to which we are creating the damage. Now, after COVID, and I think there can be any number of studies that you can see in the Google, but authentic numbers are ranging anywhere between $4 trillion to $5 trillion of global manufacturing wants to move out of China. Everybody is ready to move out of China because of a variety of reasons. The Western powers have decided that China is not the place to put their eggs, but they want to pull out the egg. But they don't want to put it in Indian basket. India must be the biggest beneficiary of the Chinese collapse. If China is collapsing in manufacturing and world manufacturing wants to shift, then the ideal location in terms of size sweep is only India. But unfortunately, we are not yet geared up. Unfortunately, we are not yet there. Now, what does the finance minister propose? Here is a very interesting thing that the finance minister has proposed. Now, there is a $70 billion of your trade deficit roughly equates to around 5 lakh crores. And given India's GDP is around 200 lakh crores, that is $3 trillion, we are looking at a number of 2.5% of trade deficit with China alone. So you must understand the magnitude of the problem. The finance minister understands this problem and they want to short circuit the whole manufacturing issue and go to digitalization. It is like after 10th standard, you straight away ask a student to write 4th year BE mechanical engineering and ask him about something on quantum physics straight away. So after 10th standard, straight away quantum physics. And I can see the glee on the professor's face. They are contemplating to put a very tough question also. And also make them link to quantum entanglement so that nobody can even answer these questions. Now, this is the short circuit that we are taking. It worked well in India in one case. It was the case of telephone. All of us did not have landline, but everybody stayed from without landline. We went to stay directly having mobiles. Everybody started having mobiles. That was a revolution that was unique to India. Nowhere, no other country has bypassed landline revolution and come to, the cellular revolution. But we can't do this. We can't do this always. I would only think that the true trust, the Prime Minister has been repeatedly calling about $5 trillion economy. Instead, if he says 25% share of manufacturing economy, instead the goalpost can be same. Whether you achieve 5 trillion or 10 trillion is immaterial. If we have a differential goalpost, and I would advise the government to say that 25% share of manufacturing will be our target in the next 5 years. If you do this, you will see the type of employment you will generate, the R&D that will come in, the fillip that will give into defense production, the employment that will happen, the research and development that will happen. It will be an all-round growth, and it will be far more equitous, and there will be linkages between the manufacturing and the universities, academia will also play a part in the national development. There will be so many things that will happen, and that is what I would love it to happen. But Finance Minister thinks that the solving of this 5 lakh crore deficit is possible. Look at it. She says, I will raise the custom duty on umbrellas to 20%. This is there in the budget speech. Now, how can custom duty on umbrellas raise to 20%? I ask myself this question. Clear all our manufacturing problem, all our problems on MSMEs, banking sector. And not only this fixation with umbrellas is very fascinating. One of my good friend, Vaidishwaran, who's a lawyer in Madras High Court, sent me this. Ever since we have been seeing, we have been always exchanging notes during budget, where even as the budget is being presented, we exchange notes. And one of my most favorite finance minister, I will not name him, it is a Chidambara Rahasyam, I will not name him, always used to tinker with this umbrella. This umbrella was exempted in budget 1989. Then the exemption was withdrawn in 1994. Then umbrellas exempted in budget 97. Umbrellas taxed through budget of 2002. Umbrellas were exempt from excise duty in 2003. Umbrellas attracted 16% excise duty in 2006. Excise duty and umbrellas reduced to 8% in budget 2007. Excise duty reduced to 4% in budget 2010. This is the story of umbrellas. And sometimes my favorite finance minister used to do one more thing. He used to reduce custom duty on umbrella, raise the custom duty on walking stick, as if walking stick and umbrellas are alternatives. Absolute non-application of mind whenever you look into the fine print. Devil and divinity is always in details. And when you go through the budget in part B, which is where we are all accustomed to, we see that there is huge amount of gap between what the finance minister wants. That is why I have summed this budget as follows. This is a budget for the 21st century India, prepared with a bureaucracy of the 20th century with the 19th century laws. You want 19th century laws, you want the bureaucracy which is still now wedded to the 20th century rules and regulations, but you are talking about drones and other things and distant education and telemedicine and so many things that they are talking about is futuristic. I have no qualms about that, except that we have not been able to tackle this particular issue of reforming our bureaucracy. Now, the Prime Minister has been repeatedly talking about less of government and more of governance. This government prides in its idea that it has repealed 4,000 laws, and that is good augury, because reforms actually means that the government must not intercede in those areas, interject into those areas where it has no role to play. I am particularly happy that 4,000 enactments have been repealed. But if you look at the number of government employees, this does not include the employment by armed forces. I'm just looking at employee numbers in 2020 was 31,80,000. 21, it has gone to 34,53,000. And 22, it has gone to 34,65,000. So from 31,80,000, it has gone to 34,85,000. Roughly 3 lakh employees have gone up in the last 2 years, which is 10%. If so many laws are getting repealed, If so many departments should be closed, if so many departments are closed, then we have to have so many employees who are retired or are at least not brought in. And if I give you the finance, I'll come to the finances of the government very shortly, but you will be appalled to know that every time we are increasing the government share and the employee share, we are spending more. For example, this year's budget, I always tell people whenever they ask me before the budget is presented, I'm invariably invited into some channels and they ask me, what do you expect of the budget? I said that this year's budget can be written on the reverse side of a Mofussil bus ticket. Why? Because this year, let me tell you, is 40 lakh crores is the budget. With whether you do anything, whether you don't do anything, 10 lakh crore is spent on interest, which is a fixed interest, which is a fixed expense. You have to spend 5 lakh crores because one hand you have China, one hand you have Pakistan. So you have to spend 5 lakh crores. Then you have to spend 3 lakh crores on subsidy, 2 lakh crore on food subsidy, 1 lakh crore on fertilizer subsidy. Then 6 to 7 lakh crores is your pension, salaries, wages. So all this takes to 25 crores out of 40 crores, 40 lakh crores. So even before you start, 60% of the budget is spent, gone. If you take Tamil Nadu budget, expenditure on interest, expenditure on salary, expenditure on interest, establishment, these 3 or 4 heads take something around 70 to 75%. In Kerala, it is 90%, and some state it is 95%. That is the extent to which we are paying for our bureaucracy, and we are paying one of the highest for our bureaucracy. And unfortunately, that we are not getting that world-class service that we expect of our bureaucracy. This is the truth of the matter. Now coming to the budget. This year, out of this 40 lakh crores, she is looking at a revenue of 22 lakh crores. Now, on numbers, I think the finance minister has done remarkably well, because this year she will get around 20 lakh 78,000 crores. Next year, she is expecting 22 lakh crores, just 1.2 lakh crore increase, which means she's talking about a 5.5% increase. But there is a question that goes on haunting. Usually, governments multiply by a factor of 1.14. They project 8% growth. They project 4% inflation. They say 2% extra because of our efforts. So 8 plus 4, 12 plus 2, 14. So if I get 100 rupees today, next year I will get 114. This is how governments project. But this government has said, this year we are getting 20 lakh 78,000 crores this year. Next year, we are planning to get 22 lakh crores, which is 1.2 lakh crores only, which is 6%. If we are going to grow at 8%, and definitely we will have inflation of 4%, I think this is a very conservative estimate. The finance minister wants to err on the side of caution. She does not want to sound bombastic and fail. She would rather be like a conservative person, middle class person, who would budget for 100 rupees and still save 20 rupees by spending only 80 rupees, rather than, showing that she can spend more, she can have a budget of much more income, but end up with something egg on her face. So she has been very cautious about it, and that I think I will congratulate it for her on that point. Now there is one big thing that has happened, which probably may require your university's big time attention. The Digital Rupee. Now we do not know what is this gorilla. It is a 800 pound gorilla in the room. We do not know what it is. Now if I have to send some 100 rupees to Dr. Shanbagaraman, I go to the computer, I just open my account, file the password, then it gives me a OTP, I send it to Mr. Shanbagaraman and he gets it credited to his account. If he is too much insistence, I may send him my UTR. I have credited 100 rupees. Now, where is the rupee here? There was no rupee, it was only digital. All rupee today is in digital only. Only when we go to the bank, and if Mr. Shanbagaraman wants to withdraw this 100 rupees, it is that he has to withdraw this in a physical currency mode. But I don't know what the finance minister wants to talk about this. But she has said that this is digital currency, and to be very frank, when she was asked about this in an interview, she said that we will have to think about it and draw the exact scheme. So she has only announced the RBI is going to actually come out with a plan. Till that plan is there, I think the role of institutions like yours, especially the management section, has to step in. Probably when it comes, you may have to host a seminar on what is Digital Rupee, how it actually functions, invite people from RBI, and probably there will be several checks and balances that the RBI is missing that you can suggest. And that is where I think that will be a very important milestone in our development. I'm not passing any comment on the digitalization of the rupee, except that I'm not sure what it means. But there is something that she has done also parallelly. She has gone about amending the Income Tax Act, and she's talked about taxing digital assets. The digital assets, if you go into the websites of several of this cryptocurrency market, you find even cartoons being sold. These are called fungible tokens. You have find something remotely even close to Mickey Mouse, and that is being sold for hundreds of dollars. I don't know what is this. All of us who have studied economics to throw the books out, and we have to restart learning our economics. But these purchases are happening in rampant violation of FIMA. And I don't know whether the finance minister, which actually wants to bring it first under the Income Tax Act and then tax it. Now, by taxing it or bringing it under any legislation, don't think this has been regularized. Government has not regularized or declared it as illegal. They have not said so. All that they say is, if it is regular or irregular or illegal, we will take care of it at a later date. But first to pay me this 30% tax. First you pay me my dakshina, then we will decide whether it is legitimate, illegitimate, whatever it is. So I think this is one significant thing that she has done. Lastly, I would like to tell that on infrastructure, and I will take to some specific expenditure. I think I can take 10 minutes more.
Yes, sir, sure. Please go ahead.
I'll just finish in 10 minutes. Now, as far as the infrastructure pipeline is concerned, the finance minister on 31st December 2019 promised a spend of around 111 lakh crores on infra spending on various projects that is supposed to happen in the next 6 years. 2 years have elapsed. 20 has gone, 21 has gone. We are into 22. 1 month has also gone. So we are 25 months out of 60 months has gone. So I would like to know what has been the progress. What has been the progress in infrastructure pipeline? Because we are notorious for delaying our infrastructure project. We have got an uncanny ability of derailing our own projects. China's greatest ability is to deliver on project. They contemplate several years before they start a project, and once they start a project, nothing can stop them. No courts, nothing. They just steamroll ahead. We start a project and then start thinking. Whether this design is flawed, whether there will be an environment problem, whether there is some issue here, whether there is some issue there. So I would probably would have expected something more on the government in terms of explaining to me how this project, how the whole thing has been rolled over. Now coming to this issue of some sector-specific allocations. The government proposes to spend around 73,000 crores on Manrega. This is one thing that I am unable to understand in this country as to why Manrega and what it has achieved in the last 15-20 years. I am not trying to nitpick on it, but I am only trying to say that there is a huge amount of spending happening year after year without a great tangible result that is actually flowing into us. First thing, when Narendra Modi took over in 2014, we were a 1.5 trillion economy. We are today at 3 trillion. This Manrega was brought in the year 2005 by Mr. Chidambaram, and at that time we were around $600 to $700 billion dollar economy. So what was introduced for a $600-700 billion economy in 2005? Can it be the panacea in the year 22 for a $3 trillion economy? This is a question. On this, there is probably no answer. Now, people want to do it because they believe that see, the problem with us is we don't know what to do. I fully understand there is a huge amount of inequity, there is huge amount of lack of opportunity of growth. But is Manrega the answer? Is Manrega the best way forward? Is Manrega allocating 70, 80,000 crores year on year the best way to move forward? The consequences of this. The consequences of this is today, cost of labor in farming for starters has gone up. So the farmers are agitated. And this I can tell you with some great amount of authority because I did my PhD on this subject on MSP and input subsidies. And when I talked to the farmers, I found to greatest dismay, the biggest consternation in farming is today availability of manpower because of Manrega. So Manrega has shifted farm labor to elsewhere. So farmers are not able to get enough number of people. So what do? They have to engage it at a rate higher than the rate at which they originally engaged these people. So they have pushed the prices. When the prices are pushed, government is compelled to buy food grains from various farmers at a much higher rate. So there is a competitive spiral out there that last year if I paid 100 rupees, I have to pay 115 rupees of MSP. This year if I paid 115, next year I will pay 135. So MSP is going on. And incidentally, last year we had a huge agitation in Punjab and Haryana for this MSP, whereas in Tanjavur and say West Godavari, which are agri districts, did not see anything. The reason for it is today biggest procurement of food grains happens only in Punjab and Haryana, not elsewhere. All our MSP, which is available for ration and various other PDS distribution, is coming from Punjab and Haryana. Both wheat must be around 90% and rice will be around 70%. This is the procurement of rice and wheat from these two states. Consequently, those farmers are worried about MSP. But if you go to Tanjavur or West Godavari and ask a farmer about what is your view on MSP, they will think that, sir, we know MS Vishwanathan, but we don't know MSP. Because MSP has nothing to do with the farmers south of India. And some portion of Uttar Pradesh, very small portion of Chhattisgarh is what contributes to rice and paddy and wheat. So this is what we have to think about, whether our farmers, this MSP may suit probably a district or two or state or two. It may suit Punjab, it may not suit Punjab, it may suit Bihar and UP. Punjab and Haryana are able to manage because of higher MSP. But does Maharashtra, does Tamil Nadu, does Karnataka, does Gujarat all subscribe to this one idea of giving MSP, higher MSP, higher Manrega? Does it suit us? Probably not. Probably there is a different way. We may require input subsidies. And that is where I say that these are things that probably academia has to step in and probably give. We think that our bureaucracy knows everything, our politicians know everything. Yes, they know. I have great respect. I moved with quite a lot of them. I know that they have wonderful ideas. They mean well. But it is not that they are the end all. Z word in economics, Z word in various development ideas. So this, I think, is an issue on which I thought we should look into it. Next one is our urban regeneration mission, especially the smart cities. The smart cities, I see it in the budget papers. I see it in some PowerPoints, but I don't see smart cities happening. Only thing I have seen is that in Pandi Bazaar, they have encroached the already encroached area and they created a bigger platform and they have hung the lamps upside down. This is the only small smart city program I have seen. Nowhere else it is happening. I would like to know what is happening, and this is something that is agitating me for some time. Then the food subsidy I have already discussed. Crop insurance, they are going in a big way. Now that the farmers Kisan, Kisan Samman scheme has been found to be a huge success. Every farmer gets 2,000 rupees every 4 months. I think the Prime Minister must now take the next logical step of actually ensuring crop insurance, mandatory crop insurance for all crops across all farms across India. on at least food grain. Whenever there is a food grain production, you must mandatorily get into crop insurance. This must be made mandatory, because if an insurance scheme is developed and an insurance scheme works out, it works out only with a threshold number of participants. You can't have a scheme run but without any participant or very minimal participants. This, I thought, is something that probably we have to look into it. Rest, I think the budget, as I said, the part A of the budget has exemplary vision. It is definitely futuristic. But I would say that part B, and especially on the track record of delivery, the delivery we have been talking about on education, on health, on several things, I have been writing consistently, and in my recent book also I have suggested that unless you make the bureaucracy participate in education and health and in public transport, you cannot actually see India entering into a different orbit of growth. If the health secretary's son is taken to government hospital for treatment, God forbid if he requires a treatment, then your government hospital is no longer a government hospital. It elevates itself to a private hospital. If the education secretary's son goes to a government school up to standard 12, then you will see that then all the debate about education comes to a naught, because the day education becomes participative. Today we have, I used to drop my children at school. And when I used to drop my children at school, I always found that many government officials used to come and drop their children in the same school. Why not make it mandatory that government officers have to send their children only to government schools? This will be a revolutionary step. This requires no budget. This requires no allocation. In fact, when Obama took over as the president of America, his wife, Michelle Obama, was asked a question, where do you want to put your children? She said, I'm looking out for some good private school. That created a huge furor in America, that how could the president's children go to a private school instead of public school? But India, private school is what is the pride that we middle class always take it. But if you have to take education without spending much on allocation, without looking into anything else, if you are going to make it policy driven, I think we have great future. So to sum substance of what I would like to say is, budgets are one dimension. Budgets are definitely very important. Budgets will be talked about allocation. Budgets will be talked in terms of what they seek to achieve. The metrics are always there. But budgets are also an indication of the policy. Today, the policy attracts us more than what the numbers attracts. We know, as I said, numbers, there is hardly any space, fiscal space for the finance minister. So what is lucrative, what is alluring in a budget is basically the policy initiative he or she seeks to take. And I am very much convinced, yes, we are on a sound track, but we can be on a sounder track. We can definitely do much better if we tinker on several smaller things. The God is always in details. The devil lies in details. So if you have to shift the God from the devil, you have to necessarily look at the micromanagement of the economy. And some of these are sorely missing in this budget. With this, I will stop and thank you all for a very patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We all know the most difficult aspect of anything is to put it in very simple words. I think our guest speaker exactly did that. Analyzing the budget in the most simplistic way, putting it across to all sections of the audience to understand what budget was all about, especially 2022, is highly welcome. So we have some questions. I think, Vijay, can we now open up the students? Vijay, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry. Actually, there is a question from Mr. Rohit Kumar. He's saying that former RBI governor said India is experiencing K-shaped recovery after COVID setback. Growth of technical industries is very high if we compare it with non-technical industries, which raises genuine future concerns like increasing the gap of income of the employees of these industries. How does this budget tackle or mitigate the risk associated with this issue?
I congratulate the person who has raised this question. I think it's a very good question. And Rohit, let me tell you very frankly, the budget has not addressed it in substantial measure. That is why, though this K-shaped recovery and all is a matter of semantics, I have given you hardcore numbers in terms of how our trade deficit with China is actually playing out, which is a cause of huge worry. And once we are reducing China's dependency on China, and we improve our manufacturing, we improve our traditional areas of growth, which is basically done by MSME sector, which is eminently possible, and they are capable of doing all this production, provided there is some policy initiative, some steps. And if it is not done, whether it is K-shaped, L-shaped, V-shaped, all these things are for economists to ornament their way of presentation. But I am very deeply concerned with the $70 billion trade deficit, and that is the elephant in the room.
Vijay, there is a question.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, there's another question from Mr. Srivatsan R. They have planned to restrict privatization in this budget. However, they are privatizing LIC. LIC, they are going for IPO yesterday, and BPCL also. What measures does the ministry need to take in the privatization process?
See, let us forget the process. There is one budget number which I will read it out to you. Civil aviation, this year, they have suggested they would be spending around 72,000 crores. Next year, they are proposing to spend only 10,000 crores. Why is there a drop of 60,000 crores? Because of Air India's divestment. Now, per se, I am a person who believes government should not be in business except in those businesses where it has no other choice. Today, management of LIC is very much possible. LIC can be privatized, should be privatized. But next year, for some strange reason, the government has gone a bit tepid on, that's why I said on the revenue front, she is being very conservative. And she has projected a sum of around 65 or 68,000 crores from divestment, which I think is conservative. I think India has to go for bigger amount of disinvestment and ensure that we wean away government from PSUs and PSCs and try to bring about some sort of revenue gathering for the government. Because if you look at it, today we are having a debt of around 135 lakh crores at the central government level as on 31st March 2022, of which 80 lakh crores are liabilities without assets. So 60% of our liabilities are without assets. This is the most worrying thing for government. We have eaten our way to glory. We have drunk our way to glory. We have spent our way to glory. We have captured liabilities to the extent of 135 lakh crores. And all of us who are having children will only pray that we don't leave debt to our children at an individual level, if not assets. But at a collective level, we are leaving around 135 lakh crores to the next generation, of which that also is not a big problem if you have assets. That means you are giving assets, you are giving liabilities. It's fair enough. But if you are giving only liabilities without giving any assets, that means we are doing a great injustice by eating from the next generation's income. We are actually eating our future, and now today we are consuming it. That I think is not acceptable.
Vijay, we'll take up 2 or 3 more questions and then we'll, because
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We have another question. What is your opinion on the healthcare budget? Is it sufficient?
This question was also posed to Mr. Somanathan in the other day, and he replied very simply. This year we had a huge rollout of vaccination for which we had to project, and that's why we had to, and we had decided as a universal vaccination without taking any cost. So that was, and next year we don't intend to have vaccination. Net of vaccination, if you see, the government has actually increased the healthcare budget.
So there's another question. Why this fertilizer subsidy is reduced?
Okay, fertilizer is a function of urea. Urea is a function of several things which is imported, and they have taken. See, usually they take a calculation on what is available in the international market, what would be the price, and they budget it. So it is not that it is sacrosanct and they will stop it. It should be read the rise. they will definitely go ahead with this. But at this point in time, my guess is they have taken a call on the international prices, and they feel that the international prices will be a bit tepid rather than very steep, and that is why they've taken a call on this.
Shall we take up one more question or?
Oh,
Yeah, one
surely,
more.
surely. Please go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. Sir, Yamar sir, the great session is somebody called Uma has mentioned, right? It's a good session. According to you, will this budget actually bridge the gap between haves and have-nots? She wanted the reasons for the same.
Now, it's a very interesting question. This gap will never be bridged by any government. Nowhere in the world is this gap ever bridged by the government. Why? Government can at best tax the rich and make him poor, but he can't give solutions to make the poor become rich. So the government can only draw one thing, that you have to bring it down. That's why I always say there is a big problem. Growth will always ensure that people who are more susceptible to growth, more acceptable to growth, more conversant with growth, those are the people who will take advantage of growth. Now, government can create a level playing field, government can allow infrastructure, government can allow spending, but government cannot make the rich as poor as I am, or me as poor as the other guy. So this cannot be done by a government. So inequality is an acceptable or an inevitable feature in any economic development. No economy, take it US, Japan, Germany, nowhere is equality talked about as much as it is in our country. All people talk about equality, equity, and equality in opportunities. And if it is there, I think we are on a road to development. Otherwise, we'll always have a problem in terms of trying to pull down the people who want to grow rather than pull up the people who can actually grow.
Thank you, sir. Maybe one last question that is there. How it's your views that we really wanted to hear on how the government is planning to take care of the unemployment or creating job opportunities during the scenario that we are in right now. What do you think will be the challenges that the government will have, and what opportunities can they create? What is the kind of industries that we can look forward to?
See, the government believes that they have opened up the entire capital expenditure. This is one of the largest in the recent times. Now, today we are talking about 7.5 lakh crores on a 40 lakh crore budget, which is something close to 20%, which is something as big as 20%. Now, if we are going to spend this much, we are definitely going to get employment. And the government does not believe in separate employment program. There is nothing called to generate employment. I'm going to do this. Gone are the days when tax exemptions were given. Gone are the days when some subsidies were given. Government believes I am going to build roads. I am going to give you opportunities. I am going to give. As I said, they are only talking about three things: relief, recovery, and reforms. Now, if you don't fall in the second two, you can always come up and say that you will get Manrega. So Manrega is always there for you to get an employment. You will get 150 rupees per day. Now, if you don't want to work, that is your only option. But if you want to work, there is 7.5 lakh crores. Another 7.5 lakh crores is going to come from various state governments. Another 5 to 7 lakh crores will come from the private sector. So we have to spend around 20 lakh crores of expenditure this year alone on capital expenditure. My guess is if 20 lakh crore is what is going to come from either public sector or private sector, that amount of money is itself a huge spinner. That itself will generate employment. You cannot ask separate allocation for employment, for capital, for road. These are all encompassed. There is something called spin-off effect in economy, and that I think will work out.
Thank you, sir. I think we are coming to an end of this particular, it's a beautiful program where we could listen to somebody so eloquently and so simple terms put across the budget. I now call upon our Dean, Dr. Subhashri Natarajan, to deliver the vote of thanks. Ma'am.
Misha Shukin. Before I deliver the vote of thanks, I would like to talk to the chief guest and appreciate the elegance of explanation, the depth of the knowledge, the power and the humor that he has used for explaining the essence of this budget. Awesome, sir. I'm sure that we have a huge fan club, students fan club following you. Please do share your Instagram. It's wonderful listening to you.
I'm not on Instagram. I'm only on Twitter at MRV Chennai.
Okay.
I'm still not, I still find shy to use the Instagram.
So, and your explanation about strategically interlinking the rivers is very good, actually. It would benefit the farmers, power sector, and you have also asked us to do some kind of energy studies to start with. Thanks, sir. And I'm sure that no other government has thought about the mental health. This government has come out with National Digital Health Sector, and the initiatives were well appreciated. Quality of education programs is something which is very subtly, but also very powerfully indicated by the government. And many discussions in the media have ignored the defense allocation, but you have covered it, sir. Thanks to you. And that's something that is giving us a lot of hope. That clearly indicates that we are going to work on R&D, and the research universities will be getting more funds. We will be exporting arms and ammunitions, which is a big thing for India. So that's a good news to us. And when it came to part B, you just reflected most of our thoughts. You have very clearly said that it's a budget which is not addressing with a big vision, but with a myopia embedded within it, if I should put it subtly. You have also mentioned, I mean, like, I would like to recall that the tone and style with which Part B was presented was not levying an extra tax by itself as a SOP. That's the tone with which our Honorable Finance Minister presented the budget. That you have dissected it to pieces. You have just taken it from the manufacturing sector, said how we are losing on to Chinese economy, how best that we can perform, and where are the ways, where are the venues where we are losing out. That's wonderful. Our textile industry, the fine prints of umbrella and the finance ministers associated with it was a pun, and it's a great insight. Thanks to you, sir. There are a lot more that I can talk about. Now I deem it as my privilege to propose the vote of thanks to the august audience. Very pleasant evening to you all. I, on behalf of College of Management and the entire fraternity in SRM institution, extend our most sincere thanks to Almighty God and to the leadership team of SRM for making today's event a resounding success. Our special thanks to our Honorable Chancellor and Member of Parliament, Dr. Parivendhar sir, for giving us this platform to conduct the event. Our sincere thanks to our Pro-Chancellor Academics and Honorable Pro-Chancellor Administration, our most respected Vice Chancellor, our respected Registrar, Deans and Directors. Thanks to you all. A special thanks to VC sir for delivering the welcome address, hinting the big SOPs in the budget. You have set the phase for this discussion, sir. Thank you. Your speech spanned over skilling programs, creating a digital ecosystem that nurtures online learning. You also hinted about digital university, digital economy at large. Thank you, sir. I extend my sincere thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Dr. M.R. Venkatesh, who has insightfully presented the critical facts and its impact on the Union Budget 2022. Thank you, sir. This event is a grand success because of your presence and your thought-provoking speech. Your thoughts have enlightened our minds, and we have gained a newer insights. I'm confident that my student fraternity will stand in what I say. A prestigious event like this cannot happen overnight. We thank our Dr. B. Raghavan sir, advisor to our Honorable Chancellor, the person behind this event rolling for over a week of planning. Thank you, sir. I'm fortunate enough to be backed by a team who have meticulously planned to details, have been proactive, and have been highly dedicated. Special mention of Dr. V.M. Shandagraman sir, who supported me when I was remotely managing the event. Thanks to Dr. M.G. Bhaskar, Dr. Anbu, the coordinators of this event. I appreciate Dr. Nisha Ashokan, the masters of the ceremony, for her eloquence. Dr. Vijay Karthikeyan, professor who was in charge for the technical support, our communication department, media friends, deans, professors, and students from College of Management, KTR campus, Ramavaram campus, Vadapalni, and NCR campuses. Dean, professors and students from Science and Humanities, KTR campus, and all the other deans, professors, and students from different colleges of SRMIST. I thank everyone for being a big support to us in conducting a knowledge enriching endeavor like this. Thank you. Thanks, one and all. On to you, madam.
As all good things have to come to an end. But I think Dr. M.R. Venkatesh sir, your talk is going to lead many people to follow you up. So you can be in for a lot of doubts clearing and a lot of talk that our students are going to follow you on to. And we request you to be part of our entire advisory team so that we can help out. Raghavan sir has been instrumental in bringing you. We are very thankful for him. But we would like you to be a part of our ongoing process. Thank you so much, sir. So as all good things comes to an end, even this has to come to an end. Kindly all rise for the national anthem. Vijay?
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thanks to one and all. We shall end
Thank
the-
you. We can all disperse for this event has come to a grand end. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all, sir. Thank you.
Vijay Karthikeyan, sir, you can.
Thank you all. It went on okay.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just closing the meeting, madam. Can I?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Went on very well.